Good morning. Hope everybody's having a wonderful week. We are giving our live today in our platforms. And all month we're going over definiteness of purpose and going over this law of success of purpose and being definite really drills down to what is it that you really, really want? What is it that you truly, truly want? How do you want to live? How do you want to experience your life? What do you want to let go of? What do you want to grow with, too? Everything is about knowing where you are and where you want to go. And as you clearly define that, you can truly live the way you want to live. You can create the life that you desire. And in this manner, you rewrite your life. Now, there's always been different points in your life where you felt you were in control. You felt you weren't in control. And if you really look at those different times, you're going to find that you're making decisions about certain things and you were not making decisions about others. And this is really where it falls along the lines where indecision is a decision. Procrastination is the decision. And indecision sets up a train of thoughts, sets up a chain of effects that begin to show that you have no mental strength in that area. And you start to be governed by the conditions and the circumstances around you. And when we let go and we let the conditions and circumstances control us, we feel we have no control. And the truth is, we do not have control of how to rearrange those things, how to recreate those things, not because we can't have the control, but because we haven't decided to. Fear, doubt, worry causes you to lose sight, lose control, and redesign what you want to see. Visions are not to get. Visions are to create. Goals are not to get. Goals are to grow. When we look at your vision, a vision is something unseen. You don't see it. You don't see it with the physical eyes. Visions are seen with your mind's eye. That's why this is so important. Also, your strategy, you don't see it with your eyes. Your vision comes from your strategy. That is also invisible. It's unseen. But you don't question that it's there or not. You don't question, can I breathe? You're doing it right now. You don't see it. So it's there. It's energy. And it's there. You're just not aware of it. What is a definite chief aim? A definite chief aim is a specific, clearly defined statement of purpose. The definite purpose should be constructive. It should bring strength, power, prosperity, peace. The psychological effect of a definite chief aim is called the principle of autosuggestion, which will guide your subconscious mind. Why is a definite chief aim important? Until a man selects a definite purpose in life, he dissipates his energy and spreads his thoughts over so many subjects that they lead not to power, but to indecision and weakness. Most people vaguely have a definite purpose, namely the desire for money or free time. But it's missing a few key components. If you intend to accumulate money, that is by running a business, you would need to decide and write the line of business. Banking, insurance, retail, etc. the location, online, physical, what street, why do you want the business, and a business plan. Wrigley, we're going to talk about Wrigley and give you some examples of how these individuals were using their mind. Again, it's unseen. They were working with visions. They were unseen at one time. They brought them down for the world to see, to experience. Wrigley's, you're chewing it. Ford, you're driving it. What are you driving? Their imagination. Their vision was invisible at one time. Ford helped pave the roads. He helped pave more roads. Ford helped more manufacturers of tires come touch the ground. More steel. More components. When we start to look at the physical reality, we begin to understand that everything starts in images, the image-making process. And everything that's ever been created first started in the mind. And it all started off with a vision that it's unseen. And you say, well, let's be practical. I'm being completely practical. You just don't understand how it works. The laws of the universe are unseen. What we do is we teach you how to apply them. Really concentrated his mind on the production and sale of a 5-cent package of chewing gum and turned this one idea into millions of dollars. Edison concentrated upon the work of harmonizing natural laws and made his efforts uncover more useful inventions than any other man who ever lived. Lincoln concentrated his mind on freeing the slaves and become our greatest American president while doing it. Rockefeller concentrated on oil and became the richest man of his generation. Gillette concentrated on the safety razor, gave the entire world a close shave, and made himself a millionaire. Here we keep going to different individuals that are using their mind in a certain way. They're thinking in a certain way. They focus on what they desire, working towards your definite chief aim. The object of your definite chief aim should become your hobby. Napoleon Hill talked about this definite chief aim in life. And definite chief aim is something that you may receive hunches on, but it's something you work towards. You may get an idea here and there, or you may have a strong, definite chief aim in life. You may have found your purpose. It's rare people find their purpose. Why would it be rare that somebody finds their purpose? Majority of people don't know what they want because they're not looking for what they want, because they're not looking on purpose. You know, there'd be a lot more people finding their purpose in life if they would look for their purpose on purpose. You will never find what you don't look for. Whatever you're focused on, you will begin to attract. Bruce Lee became one of the highest paid Oriental superstars in the United States. And this was written by Bruce Lee. I, Bruce Lee, will be the first highest paid original superstar in the United States. In return, I will give the most exciting performances and render the best of quality in the capacity of an actor. Starting 1970, I will receive world fame, and from then onward till the end of 1980, I will have in my possession $10 million. I will live the way I please and achieve inner harmony and happiness. Now, in many of Bruce Lee's work in his personal journals, he was studying the law of success. And he was applying these principles. Be specific, choose words that clearly express your chief aim. What do you want to do? What legacy do you want to leave that will inspire others? How can you, your greatest strengths and gifts, breathe good into the world? Choose a specific date that you want to accomplish your definite chief aim. Determine what you will do in exchange for this compensation. Who will benefit from your services or products? What do they want or need? How are they changed? Create a plan for achieving your desire. Combine elements of these statements listed above into one or two sentences. It must include what you desire to do, B, financial compensation, and expect to receive for what you are willing to do, a time deadline, a plan to reach your goals. Therefore, know what you want, when you want it, why you want it, and how you intend to get it. Put this definite chief aim, we say on a goal card, keep it with you, keep it in your pocket. Every time you put your hand in your pocket, you touch it, it brings back that memory. Every time you pull it out, you read it 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times a day, 10 times a day. Write it down every day. Visualize it every day and begin to act. Be bold. Be motivated. How do you find inspiration? How do you motivate yourself? There's only one way. You've got to be so inspired. You got to literally enter into the spirit of it. You can imagine it, you can feel it, you can see it, you can hear it, taste, touch, smell it. Use your imagination to spark that life of desire of the thing that you want. And begin to take immediate action with whatever you have. You start right now with whatever it is that you have. You never wait. You don't wait till the time's right. You don't wait till you have the money. You don't wait till all these excuses that you're going to give yourself, because you will find every excuse to not go and do the thing you want to do. This is why it's so important to take immediate action with whatever it is that you have. The world has a funny way of teaching you that everything that you need is here right now. And as you begin to have faith, you'll begin to connect the dots. But you won't find them until you take the first action and the second action. And sometimes you won't find the answer until you take the action. And then you see the answer. This is the way it's worked. Not only for me, this has worked for other people that I've spoken to, other people that I've worked with. It's almost as many times that at times of defeat, and you keep moving forward, you find the answers. I'm going to play this video, a little short clip of Bob. I went and worked with the Procter & Gallagher Institute. I went and worked with Bob because I enjoyed the way he teaches this information. He had solid material, spent his life given his consciousness, training his mind into the development of teaching people. I wanted to learn from him. He's gone now, but his presence still stands. And the people he impacted is still impacting other people. I'm going to play this video, and we'll come back to the lesson.
In a paper called The Productive Person, Goebel wrote, by nature, you and I are alike. By practice, we get wide apart. There's the difference in our results again. Now, he said the difference between the most dissimilar characters, between the real achievers and the non-achievers, for example, seems to arise not so much from nature as from habit, custom, and education. He went on to quote William James, who concluded that we use a very small part of our real potential. And James said that most people live, whether physically, intellectually, or morally, in a very restricted circle of our potential being. We make use of a very small portion of our possible consciousness and of our soul's resources in general. Much like the person who out of their entire bodily organism would get into the habit of using and moving only their little finger. I want you to think for a moment, if you had a child and that child was laying perfectly still in its crib, and the only part of its body it was ever able to move was its little finger, I'm quite certain that you would probably beg, you would borrow, and if you had to, you would steal to find out what's wrong with that child. But isn't it strange that a human being can stop growing mentally at a very early age and it can be virtually ignored? This is, without question, one of the most important subjects we can go to. I want to refer back to something Napoleon Hill wrote again that caught my attention when I first read the book. He pointed out in here, somewhere in your makeup, there lies sleeping the seed of achievement, which, if aroused and put into action, will carry you to heights such as you may have never hoped to attain. Do you know, as I think of this and as I read it now, I'm doing things today that 27 years ago, if anyone had suggested, I would have thought they were hallucinating. I take a look at my paycheck today. It's so completely different than it was when I first started to study this. In fact, the same people that used to pay me $4,000 a year are now paying me $4,000 an hour. And the only thing that's really changed is what's going on inside. Everything was already there. It's just a matter of learning how to use it. Now, he said, just as a master musician may cause the most beautiful strains of music to pour forth from the strings of a violin, so may you arouse the genius which lies asleep in your brain and cause it to drive you upwards towards any goal you may wish to achieve. Now, I'm going to put a couple of marks on the board, and I want you to really...
I'm going to rewind this. Let's listen again.
Abraham Maslow. Now, Maslow made a breakthrough, the like of which is maybe only made every few thousand years. He had come to the conclusion that you and I have infinite potential. He's written...
He had made a breakthrough that we have infinite potential. It's rarely done, every few thousand years. Isn't that just an idea? But if it was a true one for you, what would change? If it was a true one for Bob, what changed? If it was a true one for Wrigley, Ford, Rockefeller, if that was a true statement for Andrew Carnegie, Tesla, if that was a true statement, Elon Musk, Buffett, if that was a true statement, what would that mean? What would it mean for you?
Breakthrough, the like of which is maybe only made every few thousand years. He had come to the conclusion that you and I have infinite potential. He's written a paper. He went on, he left aerospace engineering, and he went on to start the Thomas Jefferson Research Center out in Pasadena. In a paper called The Productive Person, Goebel wrote, by nature, you and I are alike. By practice, we get wide apart. There's the difference in our results.
By practice, we get miles apart. Wow. So what's the difference between what you're doing right now and what Bob is talking about? What's the difference between listening to this video a couple of minutes ago and me rewinding it and you listening it to it again? It's like a new set of ears of hearing it. That's because there are. You never hear the same thing twice. It's a new consciousness. It's a new set of ears. As your awareness changes, so does what you think. As your consciousness changes, that's why you can hear the same thing a million times and hear it a million times a little bit different. Because your awareness changes, so does what you hear. So does what you pick up. So does what you begin to understand. You may say, I don't want to do that. I don't like to repeat. I don't want to repeat the same thing. You listen. And good, don't. Keep doing what you do and see where it takes you. See how far it's already taking you today. Keep thinking that you know what you're doing. And keep repeating the same lessons again. I've seen people repeat the lessons for 90, 100 years. You see, you got to be willing to unlearn and relearn. You got to be willing to think in a different way. Otherwise, same process keeps processing the same thoughts. How could you be anyone any different? It's all about awareness and then change.
Is maybe only made every few thousand years. He had come to the conclusion that you and I have infinite potential. He's written a paper. He went on, he left aerospace engineering, and he went on to start the Thomas Jefferson Research Center out in Pasadena. In a paper called The Productive Person, Goebel wrote, by nature, you and I are alike. By practice, we get wide apart. There's the difference in our results again. Now, he said the difference between the most dissimilar characters, between the real achievers and the non-achievers, for example, seems to arise not so much from nature as from habit, custom, and education. He went on to quote William James, who concluded that we use a very small part of our real potential. And James said that most people live, whether physically, intellectually, or morally, in a very restricted circle of our potential being. We make use of a very small portion of our possible consciousness and of our soul's resources. James said that most people live, whether physically, intellectually, or morally, in a very restricted circle of our potential being. We make use of a very small portion of our possible consciousness and of our soul's resources in general.
We use a very small portion of our consciousness and our soul's resources. We use a very small portion of our consciousness. Isn't that amazing? Did you know that if you continue to use a very small portion of your consciousness, you repeat the lessons every day? You're not even aware. You're not even aware that you were supposed to change. You were not aware that you are not supposed to repeat the same lessons every day and live the same way 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. You didn't know that. You think that's normal. I used to think it was normal too. I remember repeating the same lesson for 1,200 and something odd days, thinking that was normal. How many days have you been repeating the same lesson, doing the same thing? How many days? Some of you may have been working in the same job for the last 20 years. How many days is that you repeated the same lesson, thinking something outside of you is going to change? The thing that has to change is your awareness. And if you're not aware, you just keep doing the same thing. We use a very small portion of our consciousness. And you may be thinking, what is he talking about? It's the thing that you used to think. It's your level of awareness. It's that thing that makes people miles apart. By practice. If an individual continues to practice setting goals and achieving goals, that individual will become miles apart from the average individual, because the average individual is not continually setting goals and practicing till they reach the goal. And when they get there, they set another goal and practice again, setting another goal, practice experiencing that reality. And when they get there, set another goal. The average individual does not set goals. And if they do, it's maybe one or two a lifetime. That's why the majority of people stay stuck. And even if and when they ever do set a goal, because the truth is, majority never set a goal. They just think I want, and if they get there, they do, and if they don't, they don't. It's rare you find people that know what they want, that are willing to set a goal and willing to work towards that goal, even if they don't know how to do it. Rare. You're talking about the 1 to 3%. That's why 1 to 3% are thinking differently, and they're getting completely different results. And if you research what I'm telling you, you're going to begin to see what I see. And you're going to also begin to see what you did not see before. When you look at this globally, even in your city, your country, do the research. See how many live within the salary ranges of $40,000 to $100,000. Then look at how many earn $40,000 to $20,000. And you're going to find that the majority of the population live in that area. How could that be happening all around the world? You think that's an accident? Or is it a conditioned way of thinking? And again, a man is what he thinks. Man is mind. Therefore, he takes this tool of thought. When you begin to look at this, the only thing that you could ever change is your mindset.
From habit, custom, and education. He went on to quote William James, who concluded that we use a very small part of our real potential. And James said that most people live, whether physically, intellectually, or morally, in a very restricted circle of our potential being. We make use of a very small portion of our possible consciousness and of our soul's resources in general. Much like the person who out of their entire bodily organism would...
What is he saying by small portion of our consciousness? That means awareness. And our soul's resources. Your soul is infinitely connected to a higher source. I call him God, a God, this energy, this power. We're directly connected to an infinite power. And we use a very small part of that source. Wouldn't that be a part of your will, your own desire, your own state of being? What is the thing that's always tugging at your heart and telling you, you're more? You could be more, you could achieve more, you can have more. What is that one thing that keeps aiding you and even sending you visions? That would be your soul. You're directly connected to an infinite intelligence. And you say, oh, I don't know if I believe that. Well, for you to receive an image flashed on the screen of the mind, they came out of nowhere, no thing. Listen to me. For you to receive an image that flashes on the screen of the mind, they came from nowhere, no thing. How did that image drop into the screen of the mind? Nobody else could see it. There's people around you, then they say, oh, wow, I just saw your image. Are you going to reject it? Can you imagine if everybody could see, was more intuitive? Can you imagine if there was a lot of people that were very intuitive? Can you imagine if everybody was more aware and their intuitions were enhanced and they would see the flashes come onto the screen of the mind of other people and say, wow, you just received a dream. You just received that vision. What are you going to do with it? Oh, you just let it go too, huh? Yeah, I do that all the same. Can you imagine if you could really see the flashes of the images that come on flashing on the screen of our mind? And you say, oh, I don't believe that. You're doing it right now. Dog, cat, TV, refrigerator, Ferrari, Lamborghini, white Lamborghini, yellow Lamborghini, orange Lamborghini, red Lamborghini with the red interior. Right now, I'm flashing ideas into the screen of your mind because you have cells of recognition of that at a distance. You know what it feels like? By practice, we become miles apart. For a practice of what? Becoming more aware. By becoming more aware and letting that soul engage us, let the ideas come flashing on the screen of the mind. What is it that I truly desire? Let's go back to the first man that began to get a flash on the screen of his mind of sitting in a chair. Getting off from laying on the ground. Look at the images that were flashing on the screen of his mind. Who was aiding him? And why was his consciousness so low at the moment? So the soul aids you, the consciousness grows. The consciousness grows, the soul is aiding you. We're talking about an interconnected link of the same energy. One's at a lower consciousness, one's at a higher consciousness, but this connected link is your connection to infinite intelligence, to the source of all things. How did he get the idea? I could build a home. I could cover myself up. I could take myself out of the elements. What is that? What is it that is helping aid man with the ideas that come flashing on the screen of their mind? You see, you never question things. What is it that is aiding man that allows man to build a duplicate of a broadcasting and receiving station? This is a broadcasting and receiving station. What is it that helped man understand what's happening in his brain? The people that have created this are following nature. You see, there's things that flash on the screen of this mind. It's not connected to anything. And here man is putting more ideas in this infinite intelligence, and then they build a machine that can tap into that field of consciousness at will, and you can put dog, cat, refrigerator, you can Google anything in here now, and you can go to the Ethernet. Interesting. You see, you just don't question things, and you don't care to understand. But that's why you're living the way you're living, because you don't want to question, and you don't want to think, and you don't want to become more aware. But it's through awareness and thinking that you become more conscious. As you become more aware, you begin to see things you didn't see before. You begin to want more. What we see in consciousness is the evolution of the soul's desire aspiring to be more. Look through time. Go 12,000 BC. What do you see? The expansion of consciousness written all around us in form. This was once floating around in the same space that's empty. Your eyes cannot see it, but your awareness can pick it up. And it'll flash on the screen of your mind. We went from living on the ground to living in homes, to paving the earth. Everything that you see outside of nature's way is the connection with man, his soul's desires. Infinite intelligence, because that's where it comes from. And if and when you find one that feels worthy enough, that thinks it's possible, that has the faith to rearrange the things themselves, brings it for the world to see. Everything that you see beyond what nature has made is man-made with the higher desire. Beyond what he can see, hear, taste, touch, smell. Those men bring forces into form, bring ideas into reality. Your consciousness is the connecting link between what you can see and what you truly desire. Definiteness of purpose causes you to think up, to connect, to draw from the interspaces of what we call space, and receive ideas, hunches, strategies. You see, a vision, again, is unseen. It is only seen after we begin to work towards that vision, release that vision in action, and bring it into form. You may say, how is that possible? Everything that you see around you was made from the imagination of an individual at one time. Everything is manifestation. You're going to say, how is that possible? Everything around you was made first from the imagination of an individual. Everything outside of nature was made from the imagination of an individual. How do we become effective thinkers? You got to find the right mentors. How do we become effective thinkers? How do we become more effective in our life? We've got to select better images. That's right. We think in pictures. We think in images. You've been using images your whole life. You're using the wrong images. If you're not receiving what you want, it's because you keep flashing the images that don't serve you. What makes people miles apart? The images that they use. Those will be the desires they will fulfill. We are processing images all the time. The images that you process are your desires. What you have created in your life are your desires, whether you're aware of it or not. And you're going to say, well, I don't want that. What were you thinking about? What did you not decide on? What did you just ignore? We're literally thinking pictures. The brain is a group of pictures. Now think of the mind. What pictures do you get? What images do you get? What's in the brain is the group of pictures that you're using with your mind. There could be no other way. That's why learning how to train the mind, how to change your mindset is so important. Because the brain is a dumb terminal. It's only using what you keep feeding it. And what you keep feeding it is what somebody else gave you. What you learned from someone else. 0 to 3, 0 to 5, that's when you're being programmed into thinking a certain way. And as you learn from this group that you came into, as you look at the district that you came into, you started to take on their images and you began to think, which means imagine with. Imagine with. You may say, imagine with. Well, if you're imagining with pictures, what's the other with? Your soul. The soul's imagining with. You're giving life to that body. You're giving life to the images that you use. The soul is the life-giving principle of the whole thing. Take the soul out, the body's a dumb terminal. The body flatlines and dies, disintegrates immediately, because the soul is a governing agent that gives life to any and every agent. Agency of the mind. The soul is primal substance. It's given life. Take the soul out of a body, there's no life. If a child is born and the soul, that divine spark cannot connect with that little body, even though it's perfect, it was perfectly healthy. They've seen this, they've saw it, they've researched it, perfectly healthy body. But that divine spark could not make the connection into that brain and that body. Immediately that body begins to disintegrate and is death. Now we fast forward through time. There comes a day where that body's worn out, and the body can no longer sustain that soul. Body dies, soul leaves. It's measurable. If there's an accident, something happens to that brain, and the mind cannot think or operate properly through that brain and body dies, particle's gone. The soul is a life-giving force that gives life to ideas and to the body, and then in form. What we want to do is learn how to get things into a better order. Look at the images that you're using. Your soul's perfect. The ideas you use are wrong. The ideas that you use need to be improved. Now, there's a process to all this in setting and achieving goals. There's a process of how to keep your mind straight, have your main ideas organized to a definite chief aim in life, to a definite plan. Effective thinking comes from effective images. This is what is required to think effectively. How do you get an extraordinary life? You can use extraordinary ideas. If your ideas are not extraordinary, then that's why you're getting the life you're getting. Edison lived the life of what Edison lived because those were the images he was using to think. Tesla received the ideas and strategy that he was using because he was using the images and he wanted to go there. Wright brothers were getting the images of flying and flight. They kept looking at birds, so they built a flight with wings. They kept looking at that. They kept working with those images to that definite chief aim, and here we're off, building planes. Andrew Carnegie, using the images of U.S. metals, U.S. steel, how to improve the metals and help everyone else be prosperous. he started to get that strategy. You see, by nature, we're all the same. But by practice of an idea, we grow miles apart. What images are you using today? By practice. By practice. What images have you been practicing? You're going to begin to look. The images that you've selected are probably not even yours. And you keep practicing, experiencing those images. First of all, you got to be aware. Awareness. And if you're not aware, you will not become very effective. We teach this information. I teach this information. I've got a definite chief aim, and that's to help as many people as I can while I'm here and leave something to keep helping when I'm gone. We have a goal and a mission for this company, and that's to set these institutes globally so that we can continue to inspire, aspire, and help the evolution of consciousness. If we're not helping, then who will? We're not helping advance people to think as they would not think, to behave as they would never behave. We're not truly helping the evolution of consciousness. True education is not teaching people things, it's teaching them to behave as they would never have behaved. If I can help 1, 2 people and really teach them how to behave as they wouldn't behave, help them change their life and the life of their family, those 1 or 2 people are going to help 10 more, 20 more. If I can teach people how to teach this information, those people are going to teach hundreds and thousands of people. I work with people and I help train mentors that are going to mentor other people. And I'm doing this at a global level. Because when we teach someone the mastery of self-mastery, and that individual is becoming a mentor for others, we're going to impact a lot of people. Our mission is to set these information, set a global platform, open up locations physically all over the world, and create a system that's going to keep giving beyond our time. I learned a long time ago that I was more than what I saw. And what we're here to do is help you find that out, see that, understand it, and express it. We teach programs Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. Central Standard Time, English, 7 a.m. Spanish. We have our Business Matrix, Mastery Lifestyle, and we're fixing to come out with another program to help people live the way they truly want to live. It doesn't matter how much money you earn right now. It does not matter how much education you have. What matters, are you willing and able to change? Are you able to learn? Are you willing to learn? If you are you determined to change who you are? Can you make a decision that'll change your life and the life of your family? Make that decision. Make those choices. Because nobody else can and nobody else will. If you're not looking for the opportunity that's going to change your life and the life of your family, you'll be doing the same thing next week, and chances are for the rest of your life. Make the decision to invest in yourself, to change yourself. The money will come by result. The ideas will come by result. Choosing, getting started, is a lot of times the hardest, but it's also the finest. Send us a message. We're here every week for you guys. Get involved and change yourself. Thank you guys and have a wonderful day.